Welcome back everyone. Last year I posted a video called Academic Comeback 2024 and I was blown away at the responses that I got from you guys. So many of you shared your own challenges, your triumphs. I loved reading all of your stories. That video taught me something really important. We are all capable of turning things around. No matter how tough things get, we are able to do anything we put our mind into. But here's the thing, every new year brings in new opportunities, and with that comes the chance to adjust, grow, and take things to the next level. Now let's be real for a second. Maybe you clicked on this video because you thought, oh, 2024 was not the year for me. It didn't go the way that I planned at all. But maybe 2025 is going to be my year. I graduated last year, which was a huge accomplishment for me because there was a lot of financial obstacles that were in the way in order for me to be able to graduate. But I got there in the end and I got a summa cum laude. Some goals I achieved, but I definitely did not achieve every single goal that I wanted. I probably achieved 60% and honestly, I'm happy with that. But the important thing is that we are here and we're ready to look forward and take on 2025 with a fresh energy and a clear mindset. I know that we're like a month into this, but it's better late than never. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you everything you need to know in order to have an academic comeback in 2025, an update from last year's video. I've learned so much from my previous video. I've learned new strategies, updated tools, and habits that can really make a difference. And whether you're trying to get better grades or just build better study habits or just feel in more control of your academic life, these tips are going to help you to ace anything that you want. So grab your notebooks, get comfy, and let's dig in. Firstly, we have to reflect deeper in what was going on in 2024 and how we can do better now. One of the things that I did at the start of this year was I actually broke down all of the negative mindsets that I had in regards to academic life. Obviously, I've graduated already, so that's not really like at the top of my priority, but I just broke down all of the negative mindsets that I have about myself and gave myself like the ultimatum of it, of being like, oh, what's the positive outlook of this? And why was my negative outlook actually wrong in a way where it's like, did it actually achieve anything, or was I scared just for the heck of being scared? You have to know your reference point to strategically build upon it. So here's something that I learned. Every setback is actually a setup in order for us to have an even bigger comeback. Think about the last time you failed in something. Was it really that bad? If your answer is actually it's not that bad, then it's fine. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, isn't it? It's about learning from our mistakes and about showing up for ourselves over and over again, no matter what we do. So I'm going to go first with all of the breakdowns that I had in 2024. So in 2024, I really struggled with keeping up with the schedule that I have set for myself. I told myself that I was going to study a minimum of 2 hours a day, tried everything. I even did like study lives and filmed myself studying, blah, 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 in order to get me motivated or even to like put my phone away from my face basically so that I'm not constantly scrolling on TikTok. And while that worked in some extent, it doesn't really work all throughout the year. Towards my final exam for university for my master's degree, like this was literally going to make or break my master's degree, I did get 95% in that exam, which was the last exam I ever did in my entire academic career. So I was very happy with that, but it made me realize that I was lying to myself the entire time. I was telling myself that, oh, I study an hour every single day anyways, I'm so consistent. And I was telling that to you guys as well on TikTok, on Instagram. I was telling you guys how consistent I am, what a good student I am, until I actually made the series and realized I have been lying to you guys and lying to myself. I did not study for an hour a day at all. I obviously was very lucky to still get the grades that I wanted, and that was purely because I'm good at math. And that is literally the only reason why I was able to get good grades, because I'm good at the mathematical side, so it made it really easy for me to understand the concepts. But aside from that, if I didn't have the basic understanding or even the mastery that I did in mathematics or in engineering, I wouldn't be able to get good grades by studying no hours a day. So that was my first lesson, which was being truthful to myself. So I want you guys to pause this video for a second and think about what was the one lie you told yourself that you were doing. For example, it could be what I said just now, or it could even be I study 15 hours a day or 15 hours a week and I get good grades all the time, but in reality, you actually don't. When I realized that I was lying to myself, honestly, this completely overwhelmed me. It made me feel like I was not making any progress at all, and it's that feeling where I'm like, this is my final year. This is my last exam ever. Why am I throwing my hard work for the past 5 years away just because I'm being lazy right now? But for some reason, I couldn't shake that feeling still. I didn't feel that pressure for some reason. So what I did in order to change that was actually going back to my original roots, which was using Pomodoro technique, watching Study With Me's on YouTube, things like that. There were moments before the exam when I was like, would it really be that bad to just throw everything away? And thankfully I said yes, it would be bad. So I pushed through, got there in the end, and got 95%. So I'm very happy with that. But looking back now, I realized that it actually built it up into being the most important lesson for me last year. One of the biggest lessons, and I'm sorry that I had to say this, is that progress really doesn't have to be perfect. I know all of us wants everything to be perfect, especially for those of us who are like big perfectionists. I'm a big perfectionist, so it's really difficult for me. I used to be that student where it's like if I missed a minute of the schedule that I set for myself, it would absolutely ruin my entire day. But I've completely changed from that now. I've changed my mindset completely into just focusing on progress, just focusing on completing my to-do list as compared to completing my schedule. And I know I say this in almost every single video, but it is true. Consistency is key. It's nothing else. You can use a million and one study techniques, but if you're not being consistent in your studying, then you're not applying spatial repetition. You don't have to force everything to go your way. Sometimes things just unfold on its own. When you stop trying to force yourself to be smart, you will actually be smarter than you are, because then you let go of this idea of being a genius off the pedestal and you realize that it's actually not that difficult. You realize that it is actually so much more achievable. So the next thing we're going to do is to reassess our goals. What do you actually want to achieve this year? Financially, academically, in your relationship, whatever it is, what do you want to achieve? In my third year of university, I did chemical engineering, for those of you who don't know. One of my optional modules is project management and Six Sigma, and I learned about the SMART goals here, and I've implemented that into my studies ever since. SMART doesn't just mean smart, it actually stands for something. It's an abbreviation, and it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So when something is specific, this means that the goal should include details of what you want to accomplish. You want to be specific in the details. Don't just be broad like get an A star. Get an A star in what? And then measurable, you should be able to measure your progress, which you look at your past paper grades, what you achieved over time, your mocks results, things like that, and determine if you've accomplished the goal that you've set. Next thing is achievable. Your goal needs to be achievable. So you can be delusional and say, yeah, I'm going to go from an A to an A star in just 3 months, because I have done that and that's completely fine. You want to prioritize the progress as compared to the final amount. It's fine if you're only increasing your grades from like an E to a C to a B to an A in a period of like 5 months or 6 months. That's completely fine. Next is relevant. You want your goals to be relevant to your situation. And lastly, you want it to be time bound, which means that your goal should have a deadline. If you just let it float in the air, you're not going to have that time pressure. So if you set a deadline for every small goal, then you'll be able to see the progress over time as well. So instead of saying, I will get fit, I will instead say, I will run twice a week for at least 2 miles so I can finish a marathon by the end of 2025, something like that. So making your goals in the SMART section, you would say the specific would be, I will run, instead of saying, I will lose weight. So I will run. The measurable would be twice a week. Achievable would be 2 miles. It's not very long. Relevant would be to finish a marathon, and the time bound would be at the end of 2025. So in terms of your academics, what would you say would be your SMART goals? Remember that your goals needs to be realistic and reflect where you are right now, not where you want to be. Set goals that you know you can achieve instead of it being like your future self. So I put together an example of a routine here for you guys, and I'm going to read it out to you. So this is what works for me. Firstly, you want to plan your week strategically. I can't use really fancy like Notion or whatnot. That just doesn't work for me. Literally, I just have a Google Calendar. I only just recently got Motion, which was the AI app thing, but Honestly, it wasn't that worth it. I don't know why I paid a whole year for that. It was not that good. But I did use Google Calendar for the majority of it, and I just used like my notes app from my phone, and I just list down every single task that I need to complete. From here, you want to start by blocking out the non-negotiables like classes, work, or other commitments. For me, it was already automatically connected to my university calendar, so all of those gets automatically added in. Then after that, I will carve out the study sessions. Now, this is one thing that actually helped me to improve, and I think I said this as well last year, which was that I always prioritize my fun over my studying. The reason why I do that is because I don't want my studying to become a chore, because if it becomes a chore, I won't want to do it. So what I did instead was prioritize all the fun things that I could do. So like going out with my friends, going out with my family, etc., etc. I will always prioritize them. So it could even mean like studying for an hour, just doing flashcards or something like that. That's better than not doing anything at all. Secondly, you're going to use time management techniques. So for me, like I said before, I went into the basics all over again. I used the Pomodoro technique, which was never overrated, it turns out. I thought that I was way past that point, but I absolutely love Pomodoro. I don't know why I ever stopped using Pomodoro, but I absolutely love it. I used to be able to do like 50-10, which was working for 50 minutes and then taking a break for 10 minutes, but now my attention span is awful, so I'm just at 25-5. To dedicate a study space, if you do not have a study space that you can dedicate for yourself at home, I would always recommend you going outside, going to like a public library. There's some malls, like some shopping centers that have like dedicated study spaces for students. I would do that as well. Me and my friends would always go to the university library or going to like a cafe nearby that we love to go to that has a gigantic table. You want to keep your area tidy. It's a really different vibe, honestly, studying outside and studying at home. I love studying outside. It's a lot more productive for me. I feel like I'm an absolute genius and I feel like the main character every single time, so it motivates me further. If you are studying at home and you do not have the capabilities of going outside all the time or you're not allowed to, then what I would do instead would be to look for like study rooms or study with me's. Like I used study with me's a lot when I was in my GCSEs because my parents would just not let me go outside by myself, which makes sense. The bottom line is building a sustainable routine isn't about squeezing every second of productivity out of your day. It's about finding a rhythm that balances the work, rest, and flexibility so that you can stay consistent without feeling overwhelmed. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is maybe a bit of a sore topic. So if you want to skip this, that's completely fine. But we're going to talk about physical and mental health. It is so easy when we are focusing on a certain goal to neglect our health and our physical health. And I have to say that last year I did absolutely neglect my physical health. I did take care of my mental health. I started therapy, doing classes, group sessions, and etc. as much as I can. I did the groundwork in order to help me mentally, but the physical side of it, I did not take care of it at all, not even a single bit. And I think that actually made a detrimental effect instead of helping me to progress in my goals. In my mind, it's like, oh, all of the time that I could be at the gym would actually be much better if I was using that time to do my work. But at the end of it, I felt quite frustrated with my appearance, etc. And I still feel that way that right now because I've not achieved my goals of losing the weight that I wanted, etc. because I've completely neglected my physical health. On top of that, I was constantly working, not sleeping very well. So burnout was even more prominent last year than it ever was in my entire life. So burnout prevention should be at the top of your priority list. So in 2025, I really want to prioritize the balance as much as I can, offsetting a lot of my work, etc. A few small intentional habits can actually make such a big difference. So number one, moving your body. My dad always says, eat more, move more. I started to have like the walking pad. I don't know if you can see, there's a little slither there of it that you can see. So what I usually do is just have the walking pad. I'm walking on it while I'm doing some work. Actually makes me feel a bit more productive, but it's a bit of a hit and miss in a way. Secondly, you want to manage your stress. I know this is quite difficult, especially with like the looming exams coming up, but it's so much more important that you understand how you yourself is able to handle the stress. So the stress will always be there, but what you can change is how you handle the stress. That's what's important. So I use mindfulness techniques like listening to ASMR, meditation, journaling. Journaling really helps a lot. I'm not very consistent with it, but when things do get a lot more overwhelming for me, I will always journal. And of course, number three, prioritizing your sleep. I honestly do not know where I get all of my energy from. I literally can work with just 2 hours of sleep and still be okay to run through the entire day. And I don't even need a single drop of caffeine. I do not know where I get this energy from. But it's not very healthy. Like I said before, it made me get burnt out really, really quickly. So make sure you prioritize your sleep. Get around 7 to 8 hours. Make sure to look at your sleep cycle in order to know the right amount of hours for you to sleep. So in terms of the physical and mental health, what I did was offsetting this by getting a therapist and getting a physical trainer now. Now, I'm completely aware that this is not possible for everybody. So what I would say to do is to leverage your support system. Leaning onto your support systems will help you to achieve your goals so much faster. I didn't even think about this in the past. I don't know why I thought that I could do everything by myself, but I realize now that I cannot. Asking your teachers for help might feel quite intimidating at first, but your professors or your instructors want to see you succeed. They don't want you to fail. It will look bad on them as well. So of course they want to help you as much as they can. Whether it's clarifying the concept, asking for feedback, requesting additional support or like additional resources or materials, they will always be there to help you. So make sure you ask them for help. It's completely fine to ask someone else for help. You want to join a study group. It's not distracting when you all have a same goal. So find friends that would actually do something together with you as compared to like trying to get you down for it, you know? Like, you know, those people who are like, oh yeah, let's study together, but then they end up just talking the entire time, not because they don't want to study, maybe they do, but it's mainly just because they don't want you to succeed. And I've seen so many people like that. I've worked with so many people like that, and they are the worst type of people to study with. So make sure you choose your friends correctly. And on top of this, there's also online communities. So like my Discord server, for example, there's over 6,000 members on my Discord server, and everybody there are really nice. So if you haven't yet, definitely join the Discord server so that you can speak to other like-minded students. Building a support network takes a lot of time and effort, but once you get it through, it makes your life so much easier. Trust me, you will feel like you're on easy mode once you get a good support system. At the end of the day, an academic comeback is not about being perfect. It's about making progress, even if it's slow and steady. If there's one thing that I've learned from the past year, it's this: you are stronger and more resilient than you think. Every small win, whether it's finishing a really short assignment or a really big assignment, sticking to a routine, or even just getting through a single tough day, all adds up over time and will build up on your confidence. So you want to celebrate those victories, no matter how small they are. So, what are your goals for 2025? I would absolutely love to hear about them. Make sure you drop them in the comments down below. I will also add mine to the comments down below so that you guys can see what are my goals for this year and keep me accountable as well. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share with your friend who might need a little bit of motivation. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already yet. I've got so much more content coming your way. This is the year that I am going to be consistent in YouTube, and I hope it helps you to stay inspired, focused, and I'm so excited to be part of this journey with you. Here's to making 2025 your best year yet, and I will see you in the next one. All the best. Bye!